Hey folks, welcome to the awards for the Retro Rise Gathering. I thought I'd do a little video explaining a little bit about what we were thinking when we did the awards, kind of maybe who else was in the running, although we don't necessarily want to make those people upset. Just how we go about it and what it's all about. Before I do anything, I'm going to ask you to subscribe, which I would ordinarily do at the end of the video, but if you can, that'd be great. Just because we can get our numbers up a little bit and means we can get our own little web address. But anyway, that's by the by. So the awards for the gathering this year, I was really pleased with how it all worked out. I had Ahmad, Simon off the forum, Andy, who is hardcore on the forum, and I think Dan VIP came along as well. All of whom have been working on the show over the weekend, and we just had a wander around the field. We went all the way from the retro parking all the way through the paddock, everywhere within the show. We'd had a little bit of a wander around, Andy and I, on the campsite just to see if there were any early entries to categories we thought. It was always nice to have a little bit of a backup in our brain, just so we can go, oh yeah, no, that's definitely worth car of the year or whatever, because it's always a little bit of a worry that you'll come into an event and you'll be like, I'm going to give an award to, I don't know, Japanese cars, and no Japanese cars turn up. So that was a good thing to do. Have a wander around the campsite, see a good selection of cars already there. One of the things we did this year was we changed the categories we had. So usually we would have, actually Best Japanese Car was one of those things, and I'll come on to that in a little bit later anyway. And Best Engineering and stuff, and really, particularly when it's Simon and I doing the awards, which it usually is, we're not necessarily qualified to decide whether something's best engineering or not. So what I did was I viciously stole all of the categories from my favourite car show, which is the Nakayoshi Hot Olds Association meet in Japan, because I just like their categories. They were quite funny, although I did get ridiculed by the various people for the fact they were all one word, and really just needed an exclamation mark after them to be truck and engine. So I just had to take that on the chin. I quite like the categories, so let's go through them. The first up, I've got my screen over here in case you're wondering why I look to the left. The first up is the Low Set Award. This was sort of a replacement for our old Hard Slam Award, but not really ultimately. The Hard Slam Award was complicated to award, weirdly, because for many people it was just literally the lowest car in the field, but for us it was always the one that looked the most right. And at the time when we made it, air ride was and hydraulics were like their own thing and their own scene, and we wanted it separate from that. And now they're just sort of part of, air ride in particular is just part of what we do. So then it became a bit like a low award, but then if the low award is not the lowest car in the field, then what is it? And then along came the Low Set, which is oddly a sort of invite-only club thing. It's almost the antithesis of Retro Ride in some ways, which Dean and I trundle away at doing. It's got about 6 actual members and a rotating cast of friends and associates, and we do various bits and pieces with it. We want to do more, but we don't. But the major thing we do is we do the award at the gathering, and it kind of goes to the car that ultimately we would like in the club. And this year it went to Preet with the Datsun C10 Skyline. We were the first show that came to. We've known Preet a while. Preet's been floating around the forum as That's Fun for many years. He's got a great selection of cars. He's got a really good eye for detail. He really knows what he's doing. And this is kind of the culmination of a number of years' work, this particular car. And we were the first show it came to. But I didn't realise that when we did the award. And it just fit perfectly with kind of what we want from the Low Set, which was really nicely screwed together cars, really good eye for detail, really just spot on everything, just right. So it was almost a no-brainer. As soon as it turned up, that was the car that I want to take home, and it made sense then for the Low Set. So also that maybe explains a little bit of what the Low Set is about, but not really, because we're still finding our way and working it out ourselves. Next up, we got truck, as it was often called. This was a bit of a shot in the dark. So whilst this was a Hot Olds Association award category, I was a little bit unsure if we should do it because we don't always get that many trucks. But then I thought actually giving an award to trucks might encourage more people to come along. But being a first year, we were a little bit sort of hesitant with it. And then during the course of the event, we found that there were some great trucks floating around in the campsite. Obviously, FreshandMinty's little Acti was floating around. Is it Paul Renshaw? I believe with the Ford van. That was the sign writing on the side and everything. That was very cool. Kev did his awards from the back of that Kev did his auction from the back of that, which was really nice. The van truck's really well turned out. But then on the Sunday, I'm standing at the gate and in rolls this brown Marina pickup, which for a start it's a brown Marina pickup, which means it should just simply win an award for existing. But then it was low over the wide black steels, and it was really, really nicely turned out. And then wandering across the field, everybody involved in the awards thing and a couple of other people that had been aware that we were looking for trucks had come up to us and said, "Have you seen the brown Marina?" Like, yeah, we've got to go and have a closer look at it. Went over there, dude is with it, bonnet's up, Vauxhall XE engine underneath it. I'm guessing it's an XE. I don't know these things. This is why I don't judge the engineering. But it was ridiculous. Like, it was on top of everything else, on top of this really nicely turned out truck. It's got a pretty usable engine swap in there as well. Yeah, really good stuff. Really, really pleased with that. So maybe next year we'll get a few more mini trucks out there. I'm sure people will bring some along. I hope people will bring some along. Next up, we've got the Racer Award. This was another one of those vaguely odd categories, but I kind of wanted it in there. So it was race-inspired cars. So a lot of the stuff that we have on the show field and the forum is kind of very street. There's a lot of low stuff or custom stuff, that kind of thing. And I really like race-inspired vehicles. So things with livery, things that a kind of function over form, but more than that. Like for this category, at least, they had to be inspired by race cars. There were again a number of really nice looking cars out there. There was I think Dave Merrick with his Escort, which we really liked, which I know that Ian was very much in favour of. And there's the Martini liveried Lancia Delta, which I believe is also on the forum. Is it Furl? Has got that with a 4 in it. But then we saw this RX-7, and yeah, we knew it'd gone all out on the livery. He's gone all out. Bridgeported engine. It went up the track. It looked great. It's a road car that looks like a proper race car. Really, really nicely turned out. And loads of little details on it if you're an RX-7 person as well, which was quite nice to see. Not that I'm an RX-7 person. But yeah, it was top notch, and we really appreciated what he'd done with it. Next up, we've got Engine Award. This is the replacement for the Engineering Award, because we can look at an engine and go, that's a very nice engine. Either good engine swap, really nicely detailed engine bay, really nicely turned out engine, even if it's stock. There were a couple of things floating around that we particularly liked. There were some very nice engine bays. Just generally, all of the little parts and everything just very clean, very nicely done. There was the 2.8 stroker engine that was in that BMW Z1, which we quite appreciated. Also, people modifying BMW Z1s is always to be appreciated. And then we came across this. So it's an R32 engine in a cleaned bay, not a deleted bay, as Dan repeatedly tells me. A cleaned bay, and it's really nice. The engine itself just looks like one solid lump of engine, which I guess is what modern engines do. But it's so well cleaned, and it's such a bonkers swap as well. It probably shifts quite well, mainly in a straight line. I suspect that much weight in front of the front axle is going to be interesting in corners. But that doesn't matter. It's an amazing engine bay. So top marks on that. then we've got different. I'm almost not bored, but not sure that another Bozazuku car meant it was different still. But then Robin Whitfield pulls in the Epic Specials, fully done, like properly done. It's got the paintwork, it's got the exhaust, it's got the body kit, it's got all of the things that it's supposed to have. Not a nod here or a nod there or a little reference. It's done. And that's brilliant, and that basically had to win as soon as I saw it. So I'm sorry for anybody else that wanted to be in the running for that, but this was way out there, and deservedly so. It won a prize. If someone's going to top that, I don't know. It's difficult with the different, or dare to be different as it used to be, awards. Quite what angle to approach it from. Base car modification or what type of modification. But generally something presents itself each year. So we're looking forward to next year to see what comes out of the sick minds of the various modifying people in the UK. But keep up the good work. But yeah, Robin, top notch. Well done for doing it. The Cool Award. So this was a new idea around something that wasn't necessarily Car of the Year, maybe wasn't, we couldn't necessarily file it under Dare to be Different, but something we just looked at and went, yeah, that's cool. This actually comes from Moon Eyes, so this is a Moon Eyes award, and I really like the idea that it doesn't have to be outlandish and it doesn't have to be sort of fit within anything else, but just something you can look at and go, yeah, that's cool. And there were an awful lot of cars on the field, really, that fell under that. There is one which I'm not going to mention because I suspect he's coming back next year, but it's not quite complete. So we shall see whether or not that gets it next year. But we saw Madge's Hillman Hunter, and that was it. That is everything. And full disclosure, it was on the low set stand and I didn't pick it. And I didn't pick it because it being on the low set stand, I thought I would be biased. But the other guys that were with me picked it, and it was, I agree with them. It's a very cool car. It's kind of exactly what Retro Rides is about in many regards. It's really well turned out. It's an interesting base model, but not a crazy expensive one. The details on it are great. He's taken lots of little bits from the various cars in the Roots group to add details and just refine it a little bit from the wheel trims and various other little bits. He's taking us around the car, little bits and pieces he's done to it. It's really nicely done. And then it's just super low. It's quite simple. It's just a simple recipe that we know works, and once again this demonstrates it does. So congratulations to Madge on that. That was really nice to see. So then we have Car of the Year. The Car of the Year was another one of those that was almost a no-brainer, which it's kind of bad to say almost for Car of the Year, but I saw this on the campsite and I looked at it and I thought something's going to have to go hard to beat this as Car of the Year. And on the Sunday there was some really good stuff coming through the gate, really good stuff. And I thought, I'll have to have another look now. Like, I've got to double check everything. But it just came back around to this. And Simon, who hadn't been there to look at the campsite and hadn't seen it on the campsite, it was one of the first cars he mentioned as being amazing as well. So it was good to be verified. So this is Sean Robbins' Datsun 240Z. It's got a BMW M52 engine in it. And it's got air ride and wide steels from extreme offset wheels, and it is just brilliant. It's really nicely put together. It doesn't look like it's been just lashed together and thrown onto a show field. It sits right when it's driving. It sits great when it's aired out. The wheels are a great choice. Just everything about it. The engine swap, the BMW engine swap, is probably not to everyone's taste, but I kind of like the perversity of doing it, and it can shift as well as look good. So, what's not to like about that? That's everything that we're about right there, all encompassed in one car. So it was definitely in with the running from the moment it came in. There's loads of little details in there as well. It's just brilliant. So thoroughly recommend, if you see that around or see it next year at the gathering, go and have a check out of the car. We hope to take it to Ultimate Stance. We've got another lineup there. One of the things we like to do is take our car of the year, and anybody else that wins a prize really, and stick them on our stand at Ultimate Stance. So if you're going to that, it may well be there. I'm currently trying to get that sorted. But we were so pleased with the quality of cars in the show field this year. There's a few awards we didn't do. So usually we do a Hong Kong Phooey Award, and we didn't do that this year for various reasons. Because I changed up the awards, I didn't know how they were going to come out, and I didn't want to throw more into it. To be honest, though, the Hong Kong Phooey Award would probably have gone to Preet anyway. So we'd have walked away with 2 awards, although Benny's Toyota Celica, the white one, I think would also definitely be in the running, because that would have very much been in line with what Simon would have liked to see. And the other thing we didn't do was club stand. And actually, this is my own fault. And I'm not too unhappy about not doing it, because it was one of those that becomes a little bit of a burden. You actually start trying to look for a club stand, and then how do you evaluate one club stand against another? However, if I was going to give a club stand award this year, it would be to the Mercedes Life or Merc Life people that turned up en masse in a bunch of awesome tricked out Mercedes. And didn't gripe about getting in our gate, which we will try and make better next year. They just came along and they presented their cars well. They're a great bunch of guys, and then the cars they turned up in, they got these 1001 SELs and 1000 SELs that are all special edition. Look them up on the line, you'll see just how bizarre those cars are, really, to have 3 or 4 of them in a show field, and then to have them lowered and with the wheels and stuff. Brilliant stuff. And the rest of the cars on their stand were great as well. But they weren't the only one. There were a bunch of great stands on there. The Shy Classic stands, again, turned out really well. It was brilliant to have the French guys over, the Retro Mods people. Très bien, Retro Mods. You are just really enthusiastic. You had a great time. You took your cars up the hill, which is insane when you need to drive back to France, as people with various bits of cars that broke whilst they were racing up the hill will attest to. So yeah, it was a great year for our various clubs. So I'm overwhelmed with how much the show has grown, but how enjoyable it was this year. I was having a dark time just before the show, because it was all overwhelming in a slightly different way. And then to have the Sunday just be so good. I mean, it rained a bit in the morning, people still came. It got sunny in the afternoon, and then we gave awards away, and everyone seemed happy. The awards are brilliant. I haven't got one with me because we only got the ones done, and everybody was there to pick one up. But we got them 3D printed, which I think is a little bit of the future. I want to do a bit of a podcast talking to Nick, who does our 3D printing, about how we can apply that to cars and stuff. Just because it's a great way for retro people to get some parts made. Anyway, we'll do that later. Yeah, just thoroughly brilliant year. So super excited about next year. I have a list of 10 cars that I want as guest cars already. I'm going to start club communication as soon as I've got the dates ready. We'll do the same as we did this year. We're going to limit the field to 1,000 cars, and then have the retro parking. Retro parking had some great cars in it. In fact, I'm trying to remember if the mini truck came out of the retro parking area. Either way, we were wandering around that, like picking up cars that we were adding to our list of things that we were considering. It was just all round a great show. So that's testament to all the people that came, and the rest of the organising team and all that stuff. We did a good thing, and the awards show. If you watch the various pictures in this video, it is just a brilliant year. So thank you everybody for coming to the show. Thank you to all the award winners, and we'll see you next year, and I'll probably see you in a couple of weeks because these videos are fun. Speak later. Bye bye.